Nadine. Hi, Nadine.
Hi, everyone.
So, Nadine, you're going to be speaking to us today, and well, we're going to be speaking together about boosting recruitment performance. And yeah, I'm just interested in what you guys can bring to the party in terms of discussions on this subject. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right, so I'm Nadine Ryan. I'm a partnerships manager at Cloud Call. Cloud Call is a integrated CRM telephony solution, otherwise known as a CTI or a SaaS tech company. I am, like I said, a partnerships manager, so I work across the alliance team along with my colleagues to really help build out our relationships in that ecosystem. And that's my role there.
Fantastic. That means you get to go to all the great parties, doesn't it? Salesforce World Tour, Bullhorn Engage. Any other good ones that you've got lined up?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, obviously we've got required always their socials, summer drinks coming up. Just have the World Tour coming up next 2 weeks. Just come back from Boston Engage. We have Engage at the end of the year as well with Bullhorn. A couple other Salesforce events that happen in between then. And also along with some other partners of ours in that Salesforce ecosystem that are, partnered alongside you guys like Target Recruits, etc. So we really try to kind of network as much as possible, expand the horizons and make those connections and build those relationships.
Fantastic. So the topic today is around boosting recruitment performance, and within the market we're in at the moment, I think it's more important than ever that people are getting the most out of their infrastructure, and that's every tool that they've got sales wise, but also as well, making the most out of the data as well and their assets. So, what are you seeing in the market at the moment, and what are firms doing that is and primarily recruitment firms that you work with doing to boost their performance?
Such a good question. I think main three topics that are coming up all the time is how can we boost that productivity, save time, save energy, less time on manual tasks, more time, on the phones or in meetings or building those connections. Another thing that people are looking at is digital transformation. So what are people investing in, modern technology these days or, modern forms of technology? So that all comes into play with automation. There's a bunch of tools out there, but which one is the right one for them at that time and for their business? And really just building a business model that kind of saves time, helps to improve their productivity, again, speaks to the same audiences or new audiences, and also looking for an integration that's going to help you build out all of those. And that's kind of where, Cloud Call kind of steps in is what do I need in that tech stack to kind of help improve and boost my team by saving time, but also just making sure that they're hitting their targets, bringing in revenue. That's what we're all here to do, right? So I think in recruitment, there's a huge play on less is more, but also simplicity and familiarity. And that's where, if you're looking at a CRM system and you're looking at that tech stack, you want something that has that trust factor, that has that familiarity that you can say, I'm on my CRM and I've got everything in a one-stop shop. So that's something that we really, push out there is being CRM centric, making sure your teams are doing everything in one stored solution and space. So I think that's really where I see recruitment focusing in on is building out a tech stack that's going to make sure everything's all in one place and is as simple as possible, because we all know no one wants to do admin or manual tasks and everyone wants to just have everything in one stored place. So I think that's really something that I've picked up on, especially in today's atmosphere where people are, wanting to kind of save money where they can and also make sure that they are able to show return on investment for anything that they're investing in.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I've been doing recruitment a long, long time, and when I first joined, the phone was pretty much the only sales tool you had, unless you included a postal mail shot or a respective fax message. So, I guess what you've probably seen is that have you seen more and more integrations because everything else has to be integrated, all the email, all the direct outreach, the LinkedIn integrations. I guess it's even more important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, there's always that question of, is the phone dead? Are people actually using, the phone anymore? And what we've seen is, our average number of calls is 390,000 average calls per day outbound. We're still seeing stats like, having a 55% increase on daily pickup rates, or, people using 115 minutes a day just on SMS time spent per year. Last year, our records were, over 100 minutes used in 2022 alone each day. So when you're thinking of those numbers and you're thinking of those users, those kind of things come into account. Like, yes, people are using it. And really, no, the phone isn't dead, because we're needing it to kind of connect, to help save time. People are looking at mobile more and more now, and just being able to kind of be on the go. That's the main idea around that. We're hybrid models, we're remote models. So in doing that, the phone then becomes really important. So does messaging, so does mobile. So definitely something that we have taken into consideration, and especially with our customers, this is the kind of feedback we're getting back as well.
What's interesting about Cloud Call as a business is that you actually vertically align. So you go after the recruitment sector. What is it that your founders or your investors said, this is such a great sector, we really need to be in this space?
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, good question. I think we've always kind of said that our bread and butter is recruitment. And the reason for that is, it's an easy sort of idea of, I need to be on the phone in order to make the sale, in order to speak to someone, in order for a recruiter to give them as much information as possible and not to leave out any details, but also to have that sort of connection with that person. So, when it comes to Cloud Call, there's certain features that we include, things like being able to record in on calls. So then, you can listen in after, and you can actually take into consideration, did they say all the right points? Are we getting across what the job description is? How can we improve our messaging or our talk track? Things like them, prompting them for a message straight after. So you've got sort of anything from a supervisor panel where you've got like an in-time coach there helping you on the go, whispering in, or, taking into consideration again your kind of talk track and how that can be improved. But then also having that messaging piece, which is you get off the phone, you message, you say, thank you so much for your time. Here's everything we discussed. Here's your appointment. Here's your times. Here's the person you're speaking to. So really just making sure that we're not leaving out any important vital details and information. And then there's also things like, the normal, the things that we need on a day-to-day with, a phone system such as click to call. When you're, working on your CRM, for instance, you want to be able to call that person, bam, you click to call, you're now in their records, you have all the stored data, all the messaging, all the previous calls you've had before, and also any notes and details that you wanted to kind of refer back to. And that just helps you to kind of engage with that specific clients. And again, building out that business model that helps you to become productive, which obviously helps to save time at the end of the day as well. So, yeah.
Sounds like it's moved on a lot from where we used to have one of those phone splitters and plug in and stick this. It was almost like a reverse mouse to your ear, so you could listen in and coach people on the calls, and then you had to, hold over the microphone so you could coach them through it. So the game's moved on a bit since then.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I think features like that, right now, because they're embedded, because it becomes an extension of the offering, you now have everything kind of all in one stored place, like I've said. So, instead of a teammate starting day one, not knowing what to do, you get them on the phones, you get them speaking to, your customers, and you can help day one, training them, helping them with that in-time coach panel, or, messaging them on the side and saying, great to chat today. This is what we've discussed. Making notes about that person or that sort of client that you've been speaking to. Are they looking for X, Y, and Z? And can we actually achieve that with them? And what things stand out that we could even improve on in our talk track? So again, yeah, it's definitely changed over time.
I can imagine. So you talk about integrations. Now, everyone says they're integrated. So everyone integrates to Bullhorn, everyone integrates into JobAd, but not all integrations are equal, as I understand.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when it comes to specific CRMs, everyone has a different offering, right? But I think the simplicity and the familiarity of having whatever CRM option you have, having something that's embedded into that, such as a telephony solution or a phone system that then creates that familiarity because you now know how to use that CRM. You're using it every day because everything's embedded and everything's kind of creates that seamless motion of I'm now in a one-stop shop essentially. So then, all the echoes of adding something new or a different feature or a different tech stack that other CRMs have out there, that doesn't compare to when you're in it, you're using it more. There's obviously that user experience that starts to become enhanced as well. And again, seamless integration. So the more I'm using it, the more I'm getting used to how to use it, and the more I can then benefit off of what are the best kind of features and compatibility that I can kind of make sure I'm using more of in order to bring in that revenue or bring in that sale or enlarge my team, basically.
What's really interesting is most telephone companies sell and say we're integrated, whereas if you go to the likes of the CRM companies and you say what telephone system would you use, they tend to refer you guys. So I guess that must be nice to hear for someone working in partnerships.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the role really, is kind of creating those relationships with those partners. So it doesn't just come down to an integration. It comes down to, those human touches of building a relationship with someone. So, meeting them and saying, what is it that you guys are looking for within this partnership? Sitting them down and saying, let's create a growth plan together, an extensive one that obviously looks like a 3 month, 6 month, a year plan. What can we do co-marketing wise? What can we do on a collaboration sense that we can help benefit you, but you can also help benefit us? And we've seen it in the past with referrals. Our conversion rates are the highest when it's a referral from a partner. And that's what really stands out with those relationships is you refer a customer to us, you're giving us that trust factor. We want to then be able to kind of improve on that experience by offering them something that, is exactly what you've referred to them. So again, building those relationships with those partners is so important because if you don't understand what their partner's needs are, then there's never going to be that sort of integrative level and that level that needs to be collaborative as well. So it's great to hear that obviously our name comes up because it is something that we've strived for and it's something that we focus on as being CRM centric, but also kind of being that our name is in that recruitment space. We've done a lot of sort of promotion and marketing and a lot of networking, as you know, where we want to get to know our partners in the industry as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how the phone has evolved.
Yeah.
It used to be, you don't even need to dial 9 now; it just does it for you. It would seem so. That's obviously moved on a lot. So, typically, the question I always get asked is the cold call dead? Because you've got all of this social outreach, because personal branding, people should come in, managed accounts, etc., etc. Is the cold calling is the cold call dead?
Look, we have a amazing BDR team, in-house. And like I said in the beginning, stats wise, we've got, 390,000 calls on average per day coming in. And we've got about 52,000 calls going out on average per day. So clearly it's not, there's definitely a need for it. Obviously there's always going to be that sort of, hi, who is this? And where did you get my number from? When it comes to cold calling, it's all about sort of the talk track. It's about training your teams to understand how to come across to those specific clients that are, they might be in the tech space, they might be in the CRM space, they might be a partner of ours. And it's more about, hey, we can help to enhance this offering. These are the integrations we have currently. These are the partners we work across currently. And we know that you guys need a telephony solution or a messaging solution. What are you currently using? How is that working for you? And then kind of, growing out that task of putting in those details into CRMs that we can either store them as, look, this is something to come back to at a later stage, or, actually they're looking for something right now and we've just called them at the best time. And it's just been out of the blue and that's great. So I think cold calling is such a hard thing to say it's dead because clearly there's still a need for it, especially in today's times where, people are wanting to know what's out there. What is the best form of modern technology or the best form of integration that I can have within my company and my tech stack right now? So being able to pick up the phone and telling someone or giving someone an improvement to what they currently have, I think that's like the golden star or the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you hear that cold calling's dead, and I don't necessarily agree, because I think actually if you get a call that's pitched perfectly, you're always going to listen to it. And actually, a lot of people, salespeople as well, are always interested in that, because actually it doesn't happen that often now. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always getting messages on LinkedIn, always getting emails, but actually it's an art. To be able to do that, to be able to capture someone's attention, to be able to hold their attention, and then get some form of closure on it. And if you can do that, it's amazing. But it's hard work, and
Definitely.
it's yeah, and a
It's
lot
the
of
first point of sale, right? It's your first connection to that client or that potential customer or user. So, like you said, if you're not getting across your main topics or your big pitch, chances are they're going to put the phone down on you. So I think it's one of the hardest jobs is to be that first point of contact to actually sell what you're giving as a business. So yeah, I completely agree. I think those days of just cold calling and not understanding what you're selling are completely gone now. You need to stand out.
so one of the things about recruitment that I know is everyone, recruitment agencies are very cost conscious. That doesn't matter whether you're small, big, anywhere in the middle. Everyone wants the value, and everyone wants to reduce costs. So I guess it must be in telephony. It must be so super competitive. You're actually against points. Literally pennies per minute, and deals are done on that. So you guys are never going to compete on price. So how do you show the investment that companies use in your product? How do you go over and above to show value as opposed to just win on cost?
Yeah, I mean, our main sort of guideline or brand guideline is, we are CRM centric. So the one piece of the puzzle that we stand out or that added value that we give is the fact that our integration, our telephony solution is integrated into those specific partner CRMs. So we build that out. And what that means is when you buy that CRM, whether it's Salesforce, Bullhorn, etc., you're then buying into the fact that you are going to technically need a telephony solution. So when you're looking for, what options are out there, it's a no-brainer to go with someone that's already partnered or integrated into that level where you're not having to go outside of your premise or outside of your environment every day. It's all in one seamless stored solution. So our added benefit is the fact that we look and feel the familiarity of that specific CRM. So it gives you that sort of customizable feeling. And it's, again, something that customers want is they want to go on and feel like, okay, I'm in Salesforce. I'm using my Salesforce today. I don't want to have to go out and use another product. And also, while I'm in my Salesforce, I can click to call and everything's stored and everything's all in one space. I'm clicking on Jeff. Jeff comes up and there's all Jeff's details. I spoke to Jeff 3 days ago. This is the last details we had about Jeff in our conversation. I've sent him 2 emails since. And so you can kind of pick up conversations of where you left off. And also, obviously, again, because it's all integrated, it all looks like Salesforce. And our sort of telephony solution is that extension of that. It's embedded into the offering.
I think what's super interesting for me is where I'm dealing with my advisory customers who have Cloud Call. I can work with your customer success managers and we can identify actually just sales trends. And it's really interesting the amount of data you capture, the amount of data you hold, and can surface as well to give to the customer. I guess that's my point. You can actually demonstrate a return on investment and point to where people can be doing sales better because it links. And there's a very strong correlation to those people who use the phone a lot to doing deals as well. That's
Agreed. Agreed.
one of the things that I'm really excited about, I think the potential is because you hold the call record, you store that, and that's data, that's useful data. So great, you can go back, you can, 9 months ago, look at what that is. But that then gives you the power to do all sorts of really interesting things, like look at sales funnels, transcribe the call, bring through metadata, start using, allowing these large language model AIs to
Mm.
start profiling your sales data. So, I mean, are we at a very thin end of what's going to be possible with these type of systems?
Yeah, I think so. I think, stay tuned on what's to come with Cloud Call, because as you know, and what we've been updating our partners with is we are very product focused right now. So that means we've got our heads to the ground, and it's pretty much all guns blazing in terms of doing more for our product. What's going to stand out, and also staying ahead of the times. No one wants to be left behind right now. So I think we're definitely on that sort of train of creating simplicity on a scalable level when it comes to technology and when it comes to your offering. And that's definitely something that, we're focused on, and that's what we want to achieve as well. So I definitely think that we're going to see more of that. We're going to see sort of all of this, predictive learning, and more about security, more about the sort of enhancing the modern technology that you currently have. And that's where that digital transformation is definitely going to come in as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point you're going to have literally the call transcribed, and it's going to coach you on how you could have done that better, Andy. And or actually, don't call them back. They said call me back in 4 weeks. They didn't mean 4 weeks, because the tone in their voice said no, just go away. Maybe call them back in 3,
Yeah,
because and actually I think that. And it's not then about then doing it, it's about then automating it and understanding, did people miss buying signals either? That's how scary it's going to be.
I agree. And I think, it's just one of those spaces where it's like, stay tuned, because, with all this chat GPT and everything just kind of being handed to us on a platter, I think, it's going to get really crazy, and it's also going to get exciting, because who knows what's going to be next, right? And yeah, I imagine if you could know, right, I should never call that guy ever again, because actually in the back of his head and the way his tone came across, he's actually never going to buy my product, and it's a waste of my time to ever, compete. So I think that would be amazing, and I think our lives would be a lot easier. But I don't see, the automation becoming key. I still think that there's going to be people involved, especially in recruitment. We need that sort of relationship focus, that people to people conversation. And I just don't think that machine learning or predictive learning or, any technology form is going to be the same as that.
Yeah, absolutely. The salesperson that's being told by a computer that this person will never buy off them
Yeah.
is, that's they're never going to give up on that. Human nature. I'm going to show you. What do you know, artificial intelligence? So yeah,
Exactly. Challenge accepted. Let's go.
yeah, 100%. But I think what it can do, and what I think it will do, is it will just it will allow people to schedule their time better. I think it will allow them to focus. I think it will cut around, for example, as well. I mean, this is where it starts to get exciting, and just thinking of the use cases. So if you actually record every call in your CRM, you actually know when the best time to connect to someone could be. So, actually call Andy between 12 and 1, because that's where he takes his lunch and answers calls. Great. And those type of things, that you don't even need to explain. You could just say, this is now the next most efficient thing you can do. And actually, if you've got your calls integrated with CRM, so that's where I think it goes. And it starts with data, and it starts with capturing data, and it starts with having it all in one ecosystem, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's always that customer journey, right? It's like creating those different triggers that automate the next step. And whether that is through like an automated telephony or technology system, or rather just, human nature of, right, I've had that conversation. So I'm now going to create or use something in my CRM that's going to trigger me to remember to call him back or her back, or message them in 2 days' time to follow up. So again, I think it's all about those different triggers and touch points. And whether it's, face to face, or it's, over a call, or messaging, you just need to know when the right sort of trigger should be there. And if you lose out, and obviously that time becomes, too long, that's when you lose that sale, or that's when you've lost track of that person, and they've lost interest in you. So I think those kind of pieces are still really important to the whole puzzle.
So, managing all of these partnerships, how do you avoid having favorites and being neutral on it? Because if you integrate with most of the big CRMs, how do you be nice to everybody?
um, to be fair, I get a lot of questions of who's your favorite whenever I'm with a partner. I think it's such a fine line, because at the end of the day, as an alliance person, your job is to create those relationships regardless of what the product actually is. So every CRM is going to offer something different and unique, and they, as a CRM, are going to be able to speak about the CRM 10 times better than I can. What I can do is speak about what we offer as Cloud Call, and how we can kind of benefit that partner, how we can add value to that partnership. So when it comes to favorites, I can't say I have one, because every single person that I come into contact with at those partnerships is so valuable to me in enhancing our relationship together and growing out the ecosystem further. So I don't only just work with, one or two individuals at that specific partner that we're integrated with, but I also work across the ecosystem of partnerships that's affiliated or aligned or associated with that partner, which means I then need to understand the ecosystem a little bit better in order to kind of provide them with more details or information. Or, a customer says, hey, we're integrated with X CRM and you guys, who can I go to for this offering? Or who can I go to if I want to become part of a community, etc. So it's always about kind of being open-minded, and making sure that you're obviously creating a solid relationship with all of your partnerships, in order to kind of get the best out of it.
That's good to hear. I mean, obviously, we're your favourite recruitment community, and
Of course.
you can say this, but I think what's really interesting, you were early partners with us, and the reason we selected you were because of your integrations, because you were purely recruitment focused. And I think what's been really interesting going forward, I know that a number of my customers as well have started to use you guys, but actually having that community and that partnership, if there's things around sort of service, there's things about features, what's been really useful is just having those relationships. So rather than us having to deal with like 15 different providers, because Cloud Call's got a large share of the market, it's just easy just for us to work with you guys.
Yeah, of course. And I think the benefit of having a partnership like you guys, is, specifically in the recruitment space, is the fact that we have enhanced our partnership through having a community partner like you guys. We're associated in that space. So the amount of times I've gotten off, our sort of catch-ups that we have around tables as partners and contributors, and then had a connection with someone that, I've never spoken to, but they've seen that there is definitely compatibility between us two in terms of offering solutions to customers out there that make sense, and that obviously can add something new and different to a customer's profile or options out there. So, that's the nice thing about these sort of different groups that we have, and specifically with you guys, is that we have also created other relationships and other partnerships through this one. Whether it's an integrative solution, things like Target Recruits or Bullhorn or Salesforce, those spaces where it's CRM, or whether it's, a partner that's associated in that recruitment space. So, just as an example, we do a lot of stuff with One Up Sales, and they're obviously with you guys as a partner. And we've seen that grow out, tremendously over the last year and a half, just in terms of us kind of having a connection of very similar customers and creating these amazing case studies around that, where we can say, they're working across you, us, and One Up, and this is what we found in that sort of trend analysis of it. So I think those things are so important, because it also speaks to that referral piece again. And when speaking to a new customer, you can obviously say, hey, what does your business model look like? What do you currently use? What does that tech stack look like? And are you using these options? And then obviously, you can help to speak to that, and you can kind of refer them to the right people because you have a better relationship or a better understanding of what's out there as an offering.
Yeah, I think that's what I really enjoy about the Required Group is that we've got the best offerings, or and it's people we've worked with for a long time. It's not it's tried and trusted. I think I probably saw one of the first demos Derry ever did on One Up Sales back in I think 2018, and now I don't know if you saw the investment this week. It's great to see that they're getting that investment. They're obviously on a real roll, which is fantastic. But there are numerous other people like that in the community as well, and it's really good to see. But it's just good working with people who that if you're going to speak to put them to your membership and speak to the membership, that they're going to deliver for you, and that's as important as anything.
Exactly. And it's almost like being experts in that specific space, right? So you have sort of like a roster at the end of the day. For me, I have partnerships that I can look at. And if a specific partner comes to me or a customer comes to me and says, could you refer, 3 partners that are in sourcing space or are in gamification and kind of helping to improve sales and teams and the dynamics around that, or just a digital transformation space, like what good tech is out there that's going to help me to improve my team's ability to sell. And having that roster of, oh, well, I actually have all these connections of people that I know are experts in the space, and they'd be great ones for you to speak to. Go for it. So I think that's always, word of mouth is great, but having a referral from a specific partner that says, we trust in these guys, they know what they're doing. Here we go.
Yeah, fully agree. Right, well, look, it's been a fantastic session. I'm enjoying these live sessions, and just to remind the attendees, if I don't remind them, Rafaela will tell me off, that they'll receive the handbook or any other materials copied and discussed should you have signed up for this. So, thanks for that, Nadine. That's amazing. We'll obviously see you at some point in the future, and drinks and recruitment expo. If people want to get hold of you and find out more about Cloud Call or have a look at the system, how do they do that?
Yeah, sure. So very easy. I'll also make sure to send over some details to Raf before I also get into trouble. But my email is nadine.ryan@cloudcall.com. You can always reach me on that. And alternatively, partnerships@cloudcall.com, where the rest of me and the rest of the Alliance team can get hold of you as well. Thanks so much for your time today. It's been awesome.
Thanks very much for your time. Catch up soon. Thanks, Nadine.
Chat soon. Bye.